I stared at my laptop screen, 27 browser tabs open, 3 urgent deadlines looming, and my brain feeling like static noise. Nothing was getting done despite working 12-hour days. Sound familiar? What I discovered next changed everything by implementing a 7-day reset protocol that neurologists use for patients with chronic focus issues. I eliminated the mental fog that had plagued me for years, not by adding more productivity hacks, but by strategically removing what was hijacking my brain's attention pathways. Think about the last time you worked for more than 20 minutes without checking your phone. Take a moment, remember. For most of us, this simple question reveals an uncomfortable truth. The ability to maintain unbroken focus has become increasingly rare, almost a superpower in our current environment. The modern workplace isn't just busy, is neurologically hostile. Your brain faces an unprecedented assault from notification systems, communication platforms, and reward mechanisms specifically engineered to capture and fragment your attention. What we're experiencing isn't just a matter of inconvenience, it's a fundamental rewiring of your neural pathways that actively works against sustained concentration. You've likely noticed this deterioration yourself. Research from Stanford's Attention Lab indicates that the average professional's ability to concentrate has decreased by approximately 30% over the last 5 years. This decline continues despite working longer hours and implementing more sophisticated productivity systems. The cruel irony is that the harder you push against this current, the stronger it seems to pull. The psychology behind this scattered focus isn't about personal weakness or lack of discipline. Your brain contains a reward system that evolved over millions of years to help you survive in environments nothing like our current one. This system releases dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and satisfaction. When you check notifications, scroll through feeds, or switch between tasks, each small digital interaction triggers a tiny hit of this neurochemical reward, conditioning your brain to seek constant novelty and task switching rather than depth. Neurologists have identified a phenomenon called attention residue to explain why this pattern is so difficult to break. When you shift from one task to another, even briefly checking an email during focused work, your brain doesn't make a clean transition. Instead, a portion of your cognitive resources remains allocated to the previous task. Like browser tabs running in the background of your computer, these cognitive processes continue consuming mental bandwidth, even when you're not consciously aware of them, dramatically reducing your available mental resources. This explains why most conventional focus improvement strategies ultimately fail. They approach the problem by adding more complexity to your system, more habits, more techniques, more apps, without addressing the root cause. Your brain's compromised neural pathways. The standard advice to just focus harder actually creates a neurochemical double bind. When you attempt to force concentration, you activate stress responses that further impair cognitive function, making sustained attention even more difficult to achieve. What's happening at a deeper level is a form of identity homeostasis. Your brain has established distraction as its default operating system and now actively resists change. This resistance isn't conscious. It's happening at the level of neural architecture. Your brain has physically structured itself around patterns of distraction, and like any system, it fights to maintain its established state. The scattered focus you experience isn't just a behavior, it's become part of who you are. This explains why most focus-boosting techniques fail for busy professionals. They target the symptoms of distraction rather than addressing the neurological causes. Time blocking methods, productivity apps, and environment modifications might provide temporary relief, but they don't fundamentally reset the neural pathways that determine how your brain allocates attention. The 7-day reset protocol works differently because it directly interrupts these established brain patterns. Rather than simply layering more habits onto an already overloaded system, it applies principles from neuroplasticity research, our understanding of how brain circuits can be rewired to create targeted interventions that modify your default attention mechanisms. Traditional approaches to improving focus typically fail because they conflict with how your brain naturally operates. They demand willpower and conscious control, which are precisely the resources most depleted in a brain conditioned for distraction. The reset protocol instead works with your brain's natural tendencies, creating strategic withdrawals and replacements that allow new neural pathways to form without triggering the resistance mechanisms that do most focus interventions. This reset isn't about perfecting superhuman concentration. It's about removing the specific obstacles that prevent your brain from entering states of flow and sustained attention that were once natural to you. The goal isn't to transform you into someone you're not, but to clear away the accumulated neurological debris that's preventing you from accessing the focus you already possess by targeting 7 distinct neural pathways over 7 days. This protocol creates space for your brain to establish new defaults. It's not about fighting against your distracted state, but about systematically dismantling it, creating a vacuum where new patterns can naturally emerge. The transformation happens not through heroic efforts of will, but through strategic disappearance, removing what doesn't serve your highest cognitive function and allowing your brain's natural capacity for deep focus to reassert itself. What if I told you that the difference between your current scattered focus and laser-like concentration isn't about adding another productivity system to your already crowded life? The transformation comes through strategic removal, identifying and eliminating the specific elements that have hijacked your neural pathways. The 7-day reset protocol works by targeting 7 distinct neural mechanisms that control your ability to sustain attention and make decisions. Each day addresses a specific pathway, creating progressive neural recalibration rather than demanding superhuman willpower. This methodical approach explains why the protocol produces consistent results across different personality types and work environments. Most people make a critical error on day 1 of attempting to improve their focus. They try to eliminate all distractions simultaneously. This approach triggers what neurologists call an attentional rebellion in your brain. When you suddenly remove all familiar stimuli without proper replacement, your neural pathways create even stronger cravings for distraction as a compensatory mechanism. This explains why most focus interventions fail within the first 48 hours. Day 1 of the protocol requires identifying your unique focus saboteurs, the specific environmental, digital, and psychological triggers that initiate your personal distraction cycle. These vary dramatically between individuals. For some, it's email notifications. For others, it's environmental noise. Many discover their biggest saboteurs aren't digital but psychological, particular thought patterns that send them spiraling into distraction. Mapping these triggers creates a personalized focus fingerprint that guides the rest of your reset. By day 3, you'll implement precise environmental modifications based on attention restoration theory. This doesn't mean creating a sterile, minimalist workspace which actually reduces concentration for many personality types. Instead, you'll arrange your environment to align with how your visual cortex naturally processes information. These changes have been shown in neurological research to immediately increase concentration by up to 35%, without requiring ongoing conscious effort. The day 4 digital detox isn't about complete disconnection, which often creates anxiety that further impairs concentration. Instead, you'll implement strategic information filtering that preserves essential communication while eliminating attention-fragmenting inputs. You'll establish communication boundaries that protect your cognitive resources while maintaining necessary connections. For many participants, this is the turning point where they first experience extended periods of flow state that had previously felt impossible. On day 5, you'll implement a counterintuitive technique used by elite military units to train your brain to actively resist distractions rather than passively avoid them. This controlled exposure method strengthens your prefrontal cortex, the brain region responsible for attentional control. Much like resistance training builds muscle, instead of creating an artificial distraction-free bubble, you're building neural resilience that functions in real-world conditions. Day 6 introduces a cognitive prioritization method that eliminates decision fatigue. By restructuring how your brain evaluates tasks and allocates mental resources. Most productivity systems fail because they require constant conscious decisions about what deserves your attention. This protocol bypasses that mental drain by establishing neurological defaults that automatically direct your focus toward high-value activities without requiring conscious deliberation. By day 7, most participants experience a psychological shift that makes these focus improvements permanent. This happens through a process of identity alignment, where your new neural pathways become integrated into your sense of self. Your improved focus becomes part of who you are rather than something you do. This integration explains why the benefits persist long after completing the protocol. They're supported by fundamental changes in your neural architecture rather than temporary behavioral modifications. This systematic approach produces remarkable results. Most people experience a 40% productivity boost by the end of the week, not through working longer hours or pushing harder, but through strategic neural recalibration that eliminates wasted cognitive resources. More importantly, they report a renewed sense of control over their attention, the feeling that they're directing their focus rather than having it constantly pulled away. The protocol also incorporates a final step based on findings from the Harvard study of adult development, which revealed that close relationships, more than wealth, more than fame, more than anything, are crucial for you to have a happy and healthy life. This social connection element serves as both a reward mechanism and a reinforcement strategy, activating positive neurochemical responses that help solidify the neural changes you've established throughout the week. The transformation available through this 7-day reset isn't about becoming someone new. It's about removing the accumulated neural static that's preventing you from accessing the natural focus capacity you already possess. The scattered attention you've been experiencing isn't your brain's natural state. It's an acquired condition that can be systematically reversed through targeted intervention. The transformation available to you through this reset extends far beyond productivity metrics. This is about reclaiming ownership of your attention, the foundation of everything meaningful in your life. Your focus capabilities aren't broken. They've been systematically redirected by forces that profit from your distraction. The 7-day protocol provides the precise neurological roadmap to take your attention back from these forces. The real question isn't whether you can afford to invest 7 days in this reset. It's whether you can afford to continue living with a brain that's been programmed to work against your highest goals and deepest values.